Hello, everyone. I am so excited that we are all here today. I've got a lot to walk us through, and I hope you will fire away with those questions in the Q&A whenever you like. I'm probably not going to stop to process them as I'm presenting, but at the end, I will go back and take a look at everything that's there and answer the questions as best I can. I will also say, by way of introduction, my name is Gwydion Sullivan. My name is so much easier than it looks like it is in writing. The pronouns I use for myself are he and him, and I am the project director for the New Play Exchange, a role I've had for about 7 years now, I think. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and start walking you through a presentation about the New Play Exchange. So let's go here. Quick show of hands, please. If anyone could say, make sure that I see that you see what's there. Just one or two affirmations would be nice in the chat box. Great, thank you. Awesome. So the New Play Exchange is really a revolutionary platform, but we're going to talk about what that means. And we got to start always with a definition of what the New Play Exchange is, because it's sort of like an elephant. Depending on what part you're looking at, you could see so many different things. At its core, it's simply the world's largest digital library of scripts by living writers. But it's more than just a website. It's really a website with a mission, and that mission is to serve the common good of the new play sector. Everyone who works on new plays in the American theater, from a writing perspective, a producing perspective, all the artists who work on new plays, actors, agents, publishers, educators, anyone. It's not really just for one type of person, it's for us all. And it's really a mission-driven platform as well. It's, we're not here to make a profit, we're here to help people make and produce art. So it's also important for us to make sure everyone knows who built this thing. It was not just our little nonprofit, National New Play Network. We did this in partnership with organizations around the country, the Playwrights Center in Minneapolis, Playwrights Foundation in the Bay Area, Chicago Dramatists, and literary managers and dramaturgs of the Americas. So it was a lot of minds coming together from around the United States and beyond, really, to build this thing. And it's not like we did it with our own resources. We were supported and have continued to be supported by Doris Duke, by the Andrew Mellon Foundation, and by the NEA. So this is basically a team effort for everyone who touches anything in the American theater. We also have to talk about sort of the basic philosophy, the basic reason we exist for the New Play Exchange. So I want to sort of share where it came from. It didn't just come out of nowhere. It came out of conversations that were permeating in the field when we arrived. They began with this simple notion that there are a ton of people who write and who have scripts that they want to share. And there are actually a ton of people who want those scripts and want to know those writers. Up until our existence, there was only sort of one crude technology for connecting those two groups of people, and that was the submission process. The submission process was this horrible one-way mechanism where writers are just trying to squeeze their work through increasingly small windows and get it in front of the right people. And it's still alive to some extent today, but it's a little bit like a zombie. It's been killed a lot of times over and over again, and it survives in undead form. There are increasingly smaller submission windows. You have to have the right credentials. You have to be agented. You have to be this. You have to be that. And really, many, many, many places have just plain shut down. They don't do it anymore. Sort of the most reputable places don't work that way. And into that void, sort of that technology, that analog technology, was due to be replaced. It was due to be upgraded. And that's what we did. We created the New Play Exchange, which is essentially, really, at its root, a neutral territory. The one place that writers can go when they're ready to share their scripts with the world, and the one place that everyone else can go to find their scripts. It's kind of safe. It's everybody's space. It's like a public park, right? Where those of us devoted to new plays can come to interact with each other. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing this screen and move on to sharing a different screen. Oh, one more slide. Of course, I stopped too soon. Sorry. People want to know what's in the new Play Exchange, and we want to give you sort of a sense of the scope. And I updated this slide about 4 days ago, so it's already out of date. There are basically 33,400 plus scripts in the database, and it grows all the time. It's never gone down. It only goes up. And these are plays and musicals. They're by living writers, and believe it or not, they're by writers in at least 30 countries and all 50 states and 6 territories. And they're all tagged according to metadata, of course, so that they're findable. There are actually plays in English and Korean and Spanish and all different languages, mostly in English, but there's an incredible diversity of scripts in the new Play Exchange. So now I'm going to switch and share a different screen so that we can actually take a look at the thing. One moment while I get over there. Okay, there we go. So this is what the new Play Exchange looks like if you are logged in as a writer, which I am, by the way. I'm live on both sides of the new Play Exchange usage divide, if there is one, as many people do. And I just wanted to sort of take some time to walk you through, give you a little bit of a tour of what the new Play Exchange is like from screen to screen. What you're seeing here is the dashboard as whenever you log into your own new Play Exchange profile, this is what you'll see. And if we follow down the left side of the page, you'll see that the first main feature you see is what we call our featured list. This gets updated every 2 weeks. It's currently featuring a list of plays by Pacific Northwest playwrights. These lists are curated for us by users of the new Play Exchange who reach out to us with their ideas, and their intent is really to kind of surface plays in a different way than just searching, to sort of show us the breadth and depth and diversity of what's in the database. So they usually come with an introduction. This one is curated for us by a playwright named Matthew Weaver. And you see he's got a list of, there's more than 10 or so plays on this list. Right below that, you'll see these are the plays that have been most recently recommended, which is a feature we're going to talk about later. As a new Play Exchange member, you have the ability to recommend scripts that you believe are awesome and that other people should know. So you can write recommendations. And if you ever want to appear yourself on the homepage of the new Play Exchange, all you need to do is write a recommendation of a script, because this box always contains the most 4 recently recommended scripts. So Samantha Marchant is the newest one, and she'll sort of scroll down to the bottom as new people come on after her. Below that, you'll see what I like to call the Gwydion nerd box, because it's little nerdy data points about what's actually in the new Play Exchange. Obviously, we've got the plague and the virus on our mind, so I decided to research how many plays there were that were tagged with certain keywords, just to reveal what people are thinking and writing about vis-a-vis coronavirus. So that's the main area of the dashboard. It always contains those 3 elements, but they change. This top part changes every 2 weeks. This part changes anytime somebody adds another recommendation. And this one changes every 2 weeks as well. And then down the right side, you will see a featured writer, a featured play, featured reader, and a featured organization. Those are randomly generated by our system. We don't choose them, they just appear. We don't screen them. We just figure it's kind of an exciting moment to discover what's there, whether you search for it or not. It's sort of like when you're listening to your favorite radio station and a new song comes on. We have artistic directors tell us that it's their favorite thing because they're always being introduced to something new, which is hard to come by. And the other sort of interesting, fun fact about those is that depending on what type of subscription you have, a writer subscription or a reader subscription organization, you'll see different ones. Everybody gets 2 different ones. So there we go. All right, so next I wanted to show you what a writer profile looks like. I'm showing you my own because I don't want to put anyone else on display. And we're going to sort of look through this in more depth. The writer profiles are pretty much exactly what you would expect them to be. It's sort of everything you would need to know about a writer to get to know who they are and how they think and what their work is like. So you see up at the top, I'm going to go down the left side of the screen, and then I'll look over at the right. You'll see my bio. If I click on it, you can get the full version of it. Click on that little read more section. You can, use your full bio if you like. You see all of the plays I uploaded. And as a writer, I have the ability to just click a button here that says add a play. And as soon as the page loads, I have a simple form to fill out to add a new play to my profile. Clicking back now. I can also reorder the plays if I decide I want different ones higher up or lower down. Everyone has a different sort of style they use for deciding what order to put things in. You see what we call little sort of snapshots of all of the plays that I've got. You see the number of recommendations for my play reels, the cast size, the genres, the keywords, and then you see a bit of the synopsis. And you'll see that for everything I've written. And then if we go over to the right side, of course, my handsome mugshot, basic contact information for me, my website, my Twitter handle, my agent's information. You can click through to see my artistic statement. That's a sort of a general statement about how I approach art and the making of art. And below that, you can see the plays of which I have written recommendations. So you get a sense of my taste as a writer, not just my work. So this is it. I'm going to show you what the edit screen looks like because there's a few things in here that I want you all to see. This is me editing my profile. You're not going to see my password, so you can't steal it. This contact settings button is incredibly, incredibly important. Please check yes to receive updates from the new Play Exchange. It's like twice a year when we send you a note saying, hey, we've got a new feature. You really don't want to be left out of those. And then I strongly suggest you check the box to put the personal contact form on your profile. This allows other people to get in touch with you if they want to do your work. Simple as that. If you don't do that, then they have to find another way to find you. We're trying to make it easy. So you've got all your basic information. You can select what disciplines into which you would add yourself as a writer. And this is just all the fields that get filled out. You get to identify yourself by various demographics. And this one is also incredibly important. Please fill out your gender and race, ethnicity identities in your profile. If you don't, you're going to be less available for opportunities and turn up in fewer searches in the new Play Exchange. We really want to make sure that everyone is getting connected to the things they ought to be connected to. Okay, so now I'm going to take you and show you a play. Here is my play, The Butcher. Again, you'll not be surprised that we lead with the synopsis of the play. And then immediately, because when people are trying to learn about your work, they want to learn not only about what you say about your work, but what others say as well. So recommendations from throughout the community. I happen to have 11 recommendations on this play. So a producer who's reading my work or learning my work can see a whole host of opinions about it. Below that is a bunch of character information. So this play is a play with 5 characters, and you have the ability, when you're entering your play into the new play exchange, to put in detailed character information. A lot of people miss this because it was an update that came about a year ago, I think, or maybe less than a year ago, but it's really critical. You can, for each character, put in the character's name, age, their anything, other information about their gender and gender identity, race, or ethnicity. You can write a description of the character. And then separate than that, you can indicate who you would like to be able to play that character. So, you might have a character who doesn't have a specific, can be any race or ethnicity. And so you want to say can be played by anyone. Because there's always a distinction. Like, for instance, I know this character's 44, but I bet somebody in their 30s could pull it off, or someone in their 50s could pull it off. So I want to sort of say, let's give this actor a range. And what that does is, later when people are looking for roles for Iranian American actors that can be played by actors and Iranian American characters can be played by actors who are a certain age range, it will turn up, this play will turn up in their search results because they're roles for different artists. Below that, you can indicate the development history of a play, the production history of the play, and any awards the play has won. And it's really quite simple. You just click the add button and you can say, well, let's see, this one was a workshop, and if the organization happens to be a subscriber, the Lincoln Center, and I can put in the year 2020. Now, that didn't actually happen, so I'm not going to hit save, but it's as simple as that to add anything to the profile of a play. So now we're going to look at the right side of the play, going down the screen. You see the first one is the edit play button. That's just for me. I'm the only one who can see that because this is my play, and this is where I update all of the categories about the play. I want to go through this slightly carefully. I want to make sure you all see a few things in particular, starting with subject matter keywords. There are a lot of people who get hung up on this one. It's actually, in some ways, the least important way for people to find your work. There are not a lot of people who use subject matter as a way to find work in the new play exchange. So I would say limit yourself to the 5, 6, 3, 4 most important keywords that describe your play. More than that, not necessary. You should choose any genres to which your play are applicable. You should choose the right length. Like, for instance, I think my play runs about 2 hours. So I checked both the 90 minutes to 2 hours range and the 2 to 3 hours range. And that's so that when people are searching, if they check either one of those, my play will come up. And if my play were more like 100 minutes and I knew it was 100 minutes, I would just check one box. I check the age range or ranges that I think the play is appropriate for. I check the narrative attributes. This play centers characters of color and centers female characters. I talk about the casting requirements, the overall casting requirements, not the individual characters. And here's where, so this is important. You have the choice to upload the full draft of the script, to upload just a sample of the script, or to do neither if you're afraid. I will tell you with all assertiveness, 90% of our users upload the full draft of their script. The ones who don't, it's most often because the script is published and they want to put a link to the published script right here in this field so that people can be directed directly to their publisher's website to buy the copies from there. Those who don't include full drafts of their script usually don't get their work read. People have told us very clearly that unless the full draft of the script is there for them to consider, they're not going to ask for it. because they don't want to raise hopes that they will later have to dash. So be courageous, upload the full drafts of your scripts. You can also upload what we call a blind version, which is basically an anonymous version that doesn't have your name on it. That's for special opportunities in which theaters will ask for work without actually knowing the name of whoever wrote it, because they want to consider it independent of its sort of pedigree. You can add a score to your script if it's a musical. You can add links to music samples that are hosted on other websites. And if there are video files in support of your play, you can add those as well. So let me go back to the right column of the play page. You'll see also there's a button here. It's a little grayed out that says recommend. And the reason it's grayed out is because you can't recommend your own play, or otherwise everyone would do that. You can download the play to read it, although you should have a copy of your own play already. And you also can't save it to your reading list because, again, it's your play, so you don't need to save it. But if you do click this button on someone else's play, it gets added up here to this library, which we'll look at later. Okay, so in this little gray box here, you see all of the metadata you have used to tag your play. The genre, the subject matter keywords, the length, the cast size, the age appropriateness, the narrative attributes. You'll see all the supporting material that's been added. And then this is a relatively new one. You can actually add links to reviews of your play. If you have a link, you can see this link here is hot, so I could click it and it would open in a new tab. But I can just put the pull quote up if I don't have, if the review isn't active anymore, I can just put up the pull quote and the source of it as well. So really, if you think about it, if you step back for a second, what the New Play Exchange is doing is giving producers a lot of context about your work. There's the script, of course, but in addition to the script, there's metadata that's derived from it. There's reviews about the work. There's recommendations of the work by other theater professionals. There's the synopsis. There's the path that the play has followed. There's detailed information about the characters. So it's not just a script. It lets the producer see inside the script, as it were. Great, thank you. Now I'm going to move on to showing you what search looks like. And this is pretty cool. So I'm going to look at play search versus people search. Click the button, there we go. So search on the New Play Exchange, it's sort of the killer app, as they say. It's the reason that producers come here. It's because they have incredible ways to winnow down what's in the database and get to exactly what they are hoping for. So if you put your mouse in the search bar and you just type any letter, I'm going to do Q because it's my favorite one, you will see that instantly in the results below, you have now, you can now see every single play in our database that has a Q in the title or that has a Q in the name of the author. So scroll down to one, Stephen LaRock. There we go. So it's instant. If I add another letter, U, it gets shorter. If I add an I, it gets shorter as well. If I add a T, it gets really short. If I add an E, it's getting shorter still. It's now down to just a small number of people. But I'm going to stick just with Q for a moment. So it works like a lot of different search websites. And then over here on the side, you've got the filters, the way to filter your results. I'm going to skip the first one for this. Actually, you know what? I'll just show you the first one. The first is the means by which you can sort your results. So they're by default, they're sorted by title, but you could say, I want to sort them by last name. And notice how they just shifted in the left side. Or I want to sort by cast size from the smallest cast to the largest. So all the solo shows are now at the top. Or I want to sort for the plays that have the most recommendations. And this is one of the leaders of the New Play Exchange, Babel by Jacqueline Goldfinger. The Q in her name is there. It's got 50 recommendations in the New Play Exchange. So that's sorting. and I'm going to leave it sorted by title. You can also filter your results by information about the play. Remember, I showed you all those metadata about the play. Let's say you just want plays that are, let's look for 1 minute plays. You're now seeing all of the 1 minute plays that have a Q in the title or a Q in the name of the author. Let's say you're not so, looking for 1 minute, you want more full lengths, you can do that. You can say, you know what, just as before, I'm looking for something that's about 2 hours, so I'm going to click these 2 categories. You can choose the age appropriateness. If you're looking for plays for really young people, there's still lots of plays that come up in your results. But the more filters you add, the smaller your results are going to get. So let's say I'm going to look for a Commedia dell'arte. All of a sudden, there's nothing, because I wanted a Commedia dell'arte for an audience of children aged 5 and under that's 2 hours long. That's a crazy combination and no one is ever going to get to it. But if there were maybe one, you would find it. If you really needed it, you would find it. So I'm going to switch to a different genre that's more likely to have, okay, there we go. So we've got one example, a historic play for ages 5 and under that's about 2 hours long. And there you go. You can also enter some subject matter keywords, and what you'll see is when you put your cursor there, it immediately shows you all of the keywords that are in the system, and these are automatically sorted from most popular to least popular. So at the moment, the #1 keyword is family, second is love, third is LGBTQ, etc. But you can type anything. I'm going to type Nixon. There you go. I'm going to type pumpkin. Look, there's a play that uses pumpkin as the keyword. So you can type almost anything and it will appear. You can look for unproduced work only if you're interested in that. You can say, I only want to see search results for which the user has uploaded a full draft of the script. And that, again, that goes to their interest in seeing your work fully from the get-go. So that's all the information about the play. People can do searches by actors. Let's just say I know I can't handle more than 3 actors. So maybe my budget can handle up to 3 actors. Immediately, I got to get rid of those other filters or nothing is going to show up. There we go. So now you're seeing all the plays with a Q for which the cast size is somewhere between 1 and 3. But you can also do this amazing thing where you can say, I want only scripts that have roles for Latinx actors. In fact, I want scripts that have a minimum of 2 Latinx actors. In fact, I want 2 male Latinx actors. In fact, I want them for actors in their 20s. And you can see immediately that you can really find, and if I also have, and add another actor, I want at least 1 role for an African-American female. And immediately you're finding exactly the scripts with exactly the criteria you need, actor-wise. Okay, I'm gonna take these out so I can rebuild my search results, make them larger, boom. Okay, so next we have narrative attributes. This one is simple. I want plays. We get a lot of complaints, or we got a lot of complaints early on that people would say, I'm looking for plays with characters that are African-American, and I keep finding plays where there's 1 African-American character, and the person only appears in half a scene. I really want to center characters of color. I want a play that really puts characters of color at the center. And so that's this button. Or same thing with women, same thing with etc. You can also, so in addition to our actors, you can find characters, and you can really use any number of terms that you might be interested in. There's lots of, we don't filter the terms that are used here. We let our users enter what they like. Same with gender. And you can, again, drill down to find characters whose story you want to be told, whose voices you want to hear from. And then lastly, you can search by the gender, race, ethnicity, and sexual identity, and then location of the writers in question. So if you're looking for plays by people in the United Kingdom, you can do that. Let's see if there's anyone with the name Q in the United Kingdom. Look, there's 4. So there you go. You can also save this search so that if you do this, then you can come back. If you know you're always looking for one kind of play, you can save the search, and then 2 things will happen. When you come to the New Play Exchange, you click a single button and it will show you all the results for that search. And also the New Play Exchange will email you whenever someone adds a play to the database that meets your search criteria, which is incredibly convenient. Like if you always know you want to stay abreast of 10-minute sci-fi plays by women, you can create that search and we will keep you posted about whenever anything is added. Okay, so that is play search. I also want to show you people search just to give you a sense of what that is like as well. Again, I'm going to type a Q, and you're now seeing all the users in the database who have a Q in their name. The search comes up just as quickly as before, but now you have some filters on the side that you didn't have before. So if you're looking for writers to collaborate, maybe you want a composer. There's 3 composers who have Qs in their name. You want a librettist? There are librettists. If you're looking for playwrights or translators, etc., you have ways to filter. If you're looking for dramaturgs who are interested in freelance work, there you go. You now are. Now I just clicked the dramaturg. So these are people who are ready to work and collaborate with you. If you're particularly interested in dramaturgs with Qs in their name, there you go. And of course, you can also sort by the other identities that people add into the system. So then let's look at this library tab. You will see I have added a random assortment of plays to my own library. Oh, one other thing about Play Search. If you have a writer subscription, you can still look up plays by name and by author. But if you have a Writer Pro subscription, you too will get access to all of these advanced filters. I find it's incredibly useful as a writer. It's only $6 more a year to have access to them. So consider investing another 50 cents a month over the course of a year to get access to the full search and filters. Okay, so you can keep a reading list. As you're going through, you don't want to have to download them all right away. You can just constantly add plays to your reading list, and when you're looking for something to read, you can come back here and download the script and read it, which is a great feature. And then lastly, I want to show you your activity feed. And this is a little bit like Twitter in that you can follow people without, or we use the term watch. You can watch people without them watching you back, like on Facebook. There's 2 reasons you do this. If there are writers whose work you really admire, then you can watch them, and anytime they upload a new script, let's see if I have a notification. I can find one way back in the past. Anytime that writer uploads a new script, okay, well, I'm not going to find one. You get a notification. So you're like, oh, there's a new Hilary Bettis script. I want to read that right away. And you can also watch anyone who is writing recommendations in the script. So if you think, Bridget O'Leary is a very, very smart human being, who she is actually. If Bridget writes a recommendation, I want to know about it because she's probably found something that's really good that I want to stay abreast of. So that is the tour of the basic features in the New Play Exchange. And I'm going to now stop sharing this. And I am going to share back to my PowerPoint. So we can close this out before I turn to questions. So the last piece that you need to know about as a writer is that you have the ability, when you create a profile for yourself and upload scripts, you will start receiving emails about opportunities. I got this one myself not that long ago from the Unicorn Theater. They put out a call for new plays. So you'll get an email saying, hey, here's an opportunity, and you need to click this link, and you need to do it fast because opportunities come in and they close very quickly. But you're only going to get this opportunity email if you have a script that meets their precise eligibility criteria, which is why it is very important for you to tag your plays as fully and tag your own profile, fill it out as fully as you can to make sure that if someone's out there who wants you and wants what you have, that you will be notified. So you'll get an email like this and you'll click this link that says Unicorn Theater's annual call for new plays, and it will take you to a page much like this one, where they will lay out exactly what they're looking for. You'll get some information in the right column about the theater. And if you like, you will be able to sometimes tag your play for that opportunity. So there'll be a little button at the bottom that says tag your play, and you can click it, and that's it. That's all you need to do to be considered. Now, some opportunities don't use our tagging system. Some opportunities require you to share your work in a different way. But for the ones that do, it's incredibly, incredibly easy. Okay, so that's the basic features of the new Play Exchange that I wanted to show you. I want to talk to you a little bit about subscription types, which I alluded to before. There are two types of writer subscription, Writer and Writer Pro, $12 and $18 a year. We kept prices low because we wanted to make sure that everyone who wanted to get in could get in. Reader and Reader Pro, which are literary managers and dramaturgs and agents and actors and anyone who's looking for work to consider for any reason. We have organization subscriptions, and we now also have higher ed subscriptions. I'm going to dig into each of these a little bit. So there are now more than 7,900 writers in the new Play Exchange. By contrast, there's about 8,400, I think, that are members of the Dramatists Guild. So, this is a lot of the playwrights in North America, and then of course some all over the world. And it's every kind of playwright that's out there, people who work in all different kinds of modes and styles and who wear all kinds of different labels. We have 10,800 plus readers. Again, that's everyone from literary managers and dramaturgs to agents and designers and really just anyone who wants to read plays joins the new Play Exchange and just reads them, especially now when we're all separated from each other. You can, for $10 a year, for a reader subscription, read 34,000 plays, which is amazing. Organizations, we're at, I think, 818 last I saw, and people often ask, like, who are they really? Well, for starters, they are the 125-ish members of National New Play Network, which are the leading new play theaters in the United States. But then it's small storefront theaters in Chicago, and it's the Lincoln Center, as you saw before, and it's theaters at all ends of the range are in the new Play Exchange looking for work. And as of now, we've got over 400,000 students, faculty, and staff all over the country who are using the new Play Exchange as part of their curricula as well. It's more than 50 colleges and universities. Got a lot of the Ivy League, the state schools, art schools, small liberal arts schools. We even have some of the more well-known religious schools as well subscribing to the new Play Exchange. And it's really quite simple. It's it's the only textbook you need essentially for the study of modern drama. It's the equivalent of the Riverside edition to those who are studying Shakespeare. This is where contemporary drama lives, and so it's where more and more theater programs are going to get access to work to study with their students. So I want to give you a little bit of a snapshot of where we're going. We're currently about 4 months into a project to completely rebuild the new Play Exchange on new technology. And we're adding some incredibly cool new features that we hadn't been able to add up till now. The first is that we are going to enable multiple authors, which is going to help us in particular with musicals. So you'll be able to say book by so-and-so, lyrics by so-and-so, etc. Or written by this person and this person, and more than one person will be able to sort of own and manage a play in the new play exchange, which is just really important. Lots of work is created by more than one human being, and we wanted to make that possible. We're also going to be adding a monologue search module, which will help actors do an incredible thing: find monologues for auditions. I need to audition, I need a 60-second monologue for a Latina woman in her 20s for a drama, and I want to see as many of them as I can. So imagine being able to do that search and finding 50 or 100 or 150 or more monologues that you can use for auditions. And then, thanks to bullet number 3, you'll be able to buy them directly from writers. So instead of us, we don't want to make any money off this, but we want to help actors and playwrights sort of complete this simple transaction. Right now, the way it works is publishers have to, accumulate monologues, and they publish monologues for women over 50, but there's so many different kinds of women over 50, and you can't ever really find exactly what you're looking for. With the new play exchange, you'll be able to, if you're an actor, find the monologues that are true for who you are and for the work you're trying to audition for. We also are going to use that new micropayments feature to enable dramaturgs to share the dramaturgy packets they've created for the new work they're working on, and thus put those up for sale as well by theaters who might be producing a play that got a first production somewhere else, so, to provide them access with the intelligence of folks from all over the country, not just their local dramaturgs. And then lastly, we're going to be working on what we call an Organization Pro subscription. So it's a bigger level of subscription for organizations that will allow theaters to store the scripts they're considering in the cloud and pair the scripts to their writers in the new play exchange. So right now, the only way to get a script into the new play exchange is for a writer to add it. We're going to make it so that theaters can add them as well and maintain their own databases of the work they're considering, with all the coverage of that work and all the assigning of those scripts to readers to provide that coverage, sort of provide more back-end infrastructure for theaters all over the United States. And that's it. That's my email address right there at the top of the screen. I'm going to give you a second to write it down, although this is being recorded, so you can watch it later. But I want you to feel free to reach out to me if you have questions, especially if you know a school who might be interested in subscribing. We're always trying to get more schools on, but I'm happy to answer any questions. So I'm going to turn off sharing now, and I'm going to go look at the Q&A and see what is here. Wow, there's lots. Okay. How are our plays protected from piracy? Listing them on Google Alerts doesn't help if titles are changed. Well, I am going to answer this question. Although you just clicked a button there that confused me, but I'm going to offer my answer to that one. Your plays are protected by United States copyright law. It's as simple as that. The law is the law is the law. We recommend that people create Google alerts for their scripts and for the titles of their scripts, for their characters, so that people get notices if things happen. But I will tell you that in the 5+ years of the new play exchange, there have been a vanishingly small number of incidents like this. Very, very, very small. They have all been at the university level. They have all been resolved to the satisfaction of the writers in question. And when I say small number, I mean fewer than can fit on one hand in 5.5 years. So I think this is a situation where people's fear, and I'm not judging that fear, is much larger than the actual problem. The other thing we recommend is that people use Final Draft to add watermarks to their PDFs, which sort of does a little bit of work to help protect as well. Okay, I am also, any plans for players to be able to see who has downloaded and now has a digital copy of their script? No, for the very simple reason that, and playwrights ask this a lot, but the reason is fairly simple. If we make it so that when a literary manager has downloaded your script, they will not download your script. They've made it very clear to us that they will only read if they can read anonymously. And honestly, you don't want anyone monitoring your behavior on the internet either and recording what you're doing. So, so that's that. Are only final versions of plays in here? Can you also put works in progress? Absolutely, put works in progress. Absolutely, 100%. Yes, please. People, every play is new to everyone. Some people like to find work in progress. Some people like to find work that's finished, and you just don't really know. So you should always indicate on your script, in the synopsis of your script, what state you think the script is in. That helps people understand whether you're open to feedback, open to working with them, open to development, etc. Do agents, as well as producers, use this platform to discover playwrights?
Oh, Graham, sorry, just real quick, we've got an additional comment that I'm not sure if you can see on your screen from that last question. If a new version is uploaded, can people who have downloaded a previous version be notified?
No, it doesn't work like that at the moment. It's a thing we're talking about in the future, but yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Do agents as well as producers use this platform to discover playwrights? Yes, and funny story, when we were building this platform and going around the country, flying around to meet with people, I met in my agent's office with about 35 different agents. And, they had this amazing, okay, sure, if you want to build this, I don't know. This is before we even had written a line of code. It sounds like it's a good idea if you're going to drive people to my client's work. Okay. There were some who were like, I'm really skeptical about this. And there was one in particular who was like, no, don't do this. You're stealing my job. And, I'm supposed to be connecting my client's work to producers, not you, blah, blah, blah. That agent now actively uses the new Play Exchange to find clients. So clearly in time, we won them over. So yeah, there are many who have new Play Exchange profiles now. In particular, I want to point out one, Beth Blickers, who is a well-known agent who actually gave us a testimonial to use. And she said that now when she hears about a new playwright, she goes to the new Play Exchange before anywhere else, before Google. And if that new playwright doesn't have a new Play Exchange profile, she doesn't take them seriously. So there you go. Next question, when a new account is set up, is the page automatically viewable by others, or is there a toggle switch to activate? No toggle switch. As soon as you hit save, it's live. What are the statistics, please? Number of scripts being downloaded by theaters? I don't know, because we don't track downloads. And % of those scripts actually produced by theaters in their main season and in their secondary space? I don't know that either, because we don't track productions in the database. The one thing I can tell you is that since we added a new feature about less than a year ago, maybe 8 or 9 months ago, it's an inquire about rights button that appears on every play page. You didn't see it before because I can't inquire about the rights to my own plays. That button has been used about between 100 and 150 times a month on average since we launched it, which is terrific. And that's the one thing we can track. And I can say that, if you do the math there, that's about 1,200 to 1,800 inquiries per year. There are really not that many world premieres of new plays in a year. There's about 2,000 if our guesstimate is accurate. So, it's being used. I can also point to one anecdote, and that's not data, but it's what I've got. The No Theater, KNOW in Cincinnati, is very fond of saying that I think the number is 30 or 40% of the plays they have produced in their main stage over the last 5 years are plays that they found on the New Play Exchange. What advice do I have for playwrights nervous about putting uncopyrighted work on the New Play Exchange? Copyright your work. As simple as that. Copyright your work, use Final Draft again to put watermarks on your work. That's how it's protected. You know, the United States copyright law is there to help you. And remember that, you know, if you email a script to someone else, it's just as much out there in the ether as it is if you post it on the New Play Exchange. If someone is searching, for example, for an African-American actor, will it also return results for plays where characters are labeled as? No, it will not. Yeah, if you want someone to find, let me say this question again. If someone is searching for an African-American actor, or I assume you mean for a play with a role for an African-American actor, will the search return results for plays where characters are labeled as race flexible or can be played by anyone? No. Those plays would only come up if the person is looking for plays where there are roles that can be played by anyone. Should a specific script format be followed? Is there one theaters typically use? I'm sorry, I can't answer that. I mean, I can only, this is, you know, not a thing that we care about in the New Play Exchange. I can only suggest that you go to other fellow playwrights and ask them. Personally, I use the Final Draft format just because it's easier and it's the habit I've gotten into, but there are lots of places you can go online to get other folks' opinions about that as well. Have any new writers with undeveloped works found producers through this? If yes, how often? Yes, many. We've had many success stories through the New Play Exchange. People share them on social media all the time. We retweet them or repost them on Facebook. I can't tell you how often. You know, the thing is, the news isn't ours to share. When someone gets a production, they share it and they either tell us or they don't. But yeah, there's been plenty of success stories for that one. One of my plays is a solo play I perform, which is memoir based. I don't want other actors playing the role. Is there a way to specify that only the playwright performs the play? Yes, there's in the cast description, you can actually say that. To make that clear. And of course, no one's going to perform it without acquiring the rights from you, so you can talk about that in the negotiation as well. Can you add a PDF pitch deck somewhere in there? Is that even a useful tool to have for a play? I don't know. This is the first time I've been asked that question. I think it's more of a movie thing to have a pitch deck or a television thing to have a pitch deck. Every time I do this, I get an interesting new question, and this is the one. So I don't really have an answer. We don't have any plans to add one right now or in the near term, but it'll go into the hopper. Thank you. Does uploading drafts interfere with publication down the line? No. What we generally find is that once a script is published, publisher will require a playwright to take down the draft and just replace it with a link to the published version. But there should be no interference along the way. For the blind version of the script, can you have both a regular version and a blind version? Do you have to pick? Yes, you can have both. Is it appropriate to include a copyright statement? No. You can just copyright your work and then it's copywritten. I would like to know about specific South Carolina theaters and universities that use the New Play Exchange. Is there a filter for that kind of list? There is not. You cannot search, filter search results by the state in which they're located. If there's a specific theater you're interested in, you can look them up and see if they have a profile. You can look them up by name. And there's no way to search universities because we don't make that possible in the New Play Exchange. I'm a playwright and I'm also the AD of an organization. Which subscription is most appropriate? Luckily, you do not have to choose. You can choose both. You can choose, you can actually have more than one subscription type, and that's what I would recommend you do. Can you say more about uploading a video? Do you mean a video of your play or a portion thereof, rather than a video that might be included in the play? And if so, how long would you advise? This one is really sketchy. People asked us for the ability to upload. It's not actually, you're not actually uploading a video, you're linking to videos that are hosted elsewhere. And it's mostly because we lived in the age where people were making a lot of trailers for videos, trailers for plays. And so people wanted to be able to link to a trailer for their plays. But I think you should use that video link option any way that you think it makes sense. Be creative, go for it. Jennifer wants to know, can we just do our search using the filters on the right and not the search box on the left? Yes, absolutely you can. Who can recommend plays? Writers and other NPX members? Anyone? Only members of the New Play Exchange can recommend plays, but any member can do that. To meet the search criteria of centers on female characters, should your play have multiple characters at the center that fit the criteria, or would one character meet this criteria? I think that you have to decide for yourself. We provide the tool, but everyone has their own sort of interpretation of how it works. It's a box that you can check if you think you meet that criteria. And just know that if you check things, you're making a promise to the people who read your work that, that it will actually do the thing you say it's going to do. And if it doesn't, they will often be upset. So don't overpromise what you can't deliver. Can you submit one acts or short plays? First of all, I want to be careful about the word submit. There's no submitting. No one here needs to submit. We shall not submit. You can upload any work you want. And yes, that includes one acts and short plays. There's filters for those types as well. Does the watch feature interplay with Twitter? No, it does not. It's completely separate. Can you submit a monologue? There's that word again, by itself, or does it need to be part of a submitted play? Again, we hate submit. You can, if you want to do that, but I would personally wait until our monologue feature is there, and then yes, you will be able to submit them by themselves and connect them to plays if you like. What should you state in the watermark? That's not anything I can advise you on. I think people generally use it to say things like inquire about rights with an email to so-and-so, or rights available, inquire here, that sort of thing. You've mentioned a few times that watermarking, I think I just answered that question. Thank you. Sometimes I've searched for a play on the New Play Exchange and I find the title and basic info, but I am not allowed to view the script. Can you explain? Yes, that's because those writers have not uploaded a full draft of their script. They prefer that you contact them or their representative to get a copy of the script. So again, there's a small number of people who continue to do that. When you say copyright, do you mean just adding the copyright notice to the script or registering a copyright for each play in Washington? I mean registering the copyright of your play with the Library of Congress. How can we get featured on the homepage, a play or playwright? You might have missed this early on. Those are randomly generated by our system. We don't pick them. So there is nothing to do except roll the dice and hope every day that you end up there. Do I have any suggestions on what to charge for performance rights? Unfortunately, I cannot make that suggestion. Can you upload the first few pages of a script to give readers a sample without uploading the whole script? Yes, you can do that. There is a sample button within the profile. And with that, I have answered, I believe, all of the questions that were in the chat.
Yep. Nice work.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who joined. I'm so glad you were here. This is just great. So great. I'm going to sign off, but really grateful. I hope you will all join if you haven't already. And I hope that you'll reach out to us if you have any questions. And welcome to the New Play Exchange. Bye.